So we're still speaking about the Benoni, which is really the goal of each and every one of us, unless you're born a tzaddik. But the Benoni is the person, as mentioned so many times, that is able to fully control his animal soul in thought, speech, and action. Yes, he still has some thoughts that come through, but he's able to control his thoughts of temptations and of negativities because he pushes those thoughts away immediately as soon as they come through. We also spoke about how the Benoni is really an Oved Hashem, someone who constantly works on himself, as opposed to an Eved Hashem, someone who's already arrived, which is probably the tzaddik, who's fully subdued his animal soul. But for the Benoni, it's a constant work. And in another place, in the Tanya, it says, Ulai lekach nivra. Maybe a person was created just for that struggle. And the fact that a person is able to exercise self-control and always be controlling of his animal soul is one of the greatest purposes a person may have in life, throughout his entire life. Maybe he was created just for that. We are also speaking here about the love of God and how the Benoni, in order to empower his godly soul, to control his animal soul, he has to arouse the love in God. Because if you think about this, you can't command love, right? I can't tell someone you have to love tomatoes. You have to love this mountain. If you don't love it, you don't love it. How am I going to force you to love tomatoes? But what the Tanya really is saying here and in other places too is that the love of God is innate. It's really a part of the desire of the soul, of the godly soul that is one with God and therefore loves God. And therefore God can command, like we say in the Shema, "V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha," love your fellow, love God, your Lord. "V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha," because in many ways it's already existing within us. All we have to do is awaken that love. It's not something from the outside, like a tomato, like a mountain, or like anything else, but it's really something that already exists. And by contemplating how much we actually do love God, how much we actually part of God, then we can love God. I think that's been one of the themes here also of this chapter. But let's continue. Let's continue where you left off again. Bottom of page 55 here at the bottom of the page. Does anyone want to read?
I can read.
Please, Angela.
Okay.
Right.
When a person is unable to rule over his animal soul and modify his habitual nature to reach the level of a perfect service by generating an intensive love of God, he can nevertheless do so through sheer willpower. If he senses that he has fallen into a rut, even if he cannot summon the strength to advance, to do more, then that itself signals him to press forward. The process may not be infused with the inner emotional power of perfect service, but it restarts the struggle. It takes advantage, rather, of the hidden love and the resolve of every Jew who wants to be close to God and is unwilling to be separated from Him. In this approach, one experiences no profound emotions. However, he at least renews the quest to rise above himself with new powers to serve God. The hidden love remains concealed, but it finds expression in his actions and a newly configured gestalt.
Right. So speaking about awakening that love, sometimes I try and I'm not successful. This is what this is saying. Sometimes I go and contemplate mountains and the nature of God and the beautiful creation, and it still doesn't spark any love. I'm still back to my maybe negative feelings. And then a person must retort to his willpower, to doing things just because, which, by the way, might be the highest form of love. When I do things just because I don't feel that love, because I have to do them just because I don't have a reason for it. I'm not emotionally connected to it. But on the other hand, I still do them. It's just that willpower to be connected to God. I do them just because. In many ways, I think we've spoken about this. This level of love is even higher than the level of love in which my heart and my soul are set ablaze. Why so? Because when my heart and my soul are set ablaze, then I may be doing what I'm doing for myself. because it feels good, because it elevates me. And my soul is set ablaze. My heart is feeling so good. So there's some level of ego, of selfishness in that act, in that love. But when I do things just because, I don't know why I'm doing them. It's not doing anything to me. I'm not feeling that love. But I do it just because, then I'm really, really dedicated to this relationship because I'm still doing it and I'm not doing it for me. There's zero iota here of personal feelings. Then it really means that I'm doing it for the other, for God Himself. In many ways, that's that willpower that Rabbi Stein's is talking about. Sometimes, yeah, we try, and we have to, because v'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha, you should love your Lord God. But sometimes you're in a, like he says, yeah, you've fallen into a rut. So does that mean you have to quit altogether? So then now, activate your willpower. And by activating your willpower, you'll realize that your relationship is a real one. It's not just because you feel good about it. It's even when you don't feel good about it. And that eventually is also what will spark, what will really re-engage you to the point that you'll finally feel that hidden love when you stick to it. It's almost like anything. Sometimes, people who work out or even athletes, they you don't feel like going to the gym every day. You don't feel like working out every day, but you do so because you're dedicated to that relationship. And then eventually that desire comes back. And it's true for anything else. We live in a society where if you don't feel it, so you have to quit. If it's broken, then you don't fix it anymore. You just go to Home Depot and you get a new one. But it's not the way life works. Life, if it's broken, so then you dedicate yourself to fixing it, and then you store with it. You store in love with it. And eventually, when you actually act this way, then it comes back because essentially you're already one with it, especially when it comes to God. You especially when it comes to because God is a part of you. So it's not like it's two separate things. And yes, maybe like they say, you've grown apart. You and God have grown apart. It's impossible to grow apart from God because God is one with you. If you grow apart from God, that means you've grown apart from yourself, and that's a travesty. So what do you do? Willpower. You dedicate yourself, no matter what. You know, the even the Talmud says that if a person who's dedicated to Torah study feels like he's not connected, then he should learn even more. Now, why learn even more? That's exactly when I'm not connected. How can I learn more? I'm not going to feel as they say in Yiddish, the koch of the study, the passion of the study. But that's the point, because God is one with you. So what's happening when you don't feel it? What is happening is that maybe you just have to work on yourself a little bit more. Maybe in you just have to go the extra mile, because by going the extra mile, that which is dormant will eventually awaken. Someone who's deeply asleep, is to get up in the morning. So you don't just wake him up once, you wake him up twice, you wake him up 3 times. If you have to use ice, you use ice too. But you'll do anything that's possible. And same here, you have to learn even more. It's not because it's trying to force you into something. It's really because it's there. You're one with God. So what do? You put the alarm clock 7 times, 10 times. You learn more until that dormant thing awakens. With that willpower, the hidden love will finally come to the surface. That's what this is saying. Yes, we should try and contemplate love and try to reach it and try to feel it. But if we don't, then we have to dedicate ourselves just because.
Rabbi,
Yes,
question for you, sir. One of
yes,
the first things I heard read was overcoming animal soul.
yes.
How would you define animal soul?
It's a good question. So, the animal soul is anything that pulls us away from a divine soul, from God, or from doing what God wants us to do. The animal soul could be the body. The animal soul, certainly the ego. The animal soul is anything that says, Your soul, your divine soul wants to do something, actually do something else. So it could be expressed in many ways. In the most evident ways, the animal soul tells us to transgress what the Torah is telling us. Do not steal, the animal soul wants to steal, right? Do not lie, the animal soul wants to lie. But in a more refined way, the animal soul is maybe telling us also, go and pray when there's someone who's in help, who needs help. And really, it's the animal soul telling you to pray to divorce you from that which you need to do, the divine calling of the hour. So the animal soul, in essence, is anything that takes you away from what the divine soul wants to do. Now, that has many layers, as mentioned, but that's what the animal soul is.
Well, I think a lot of it could be like the voices we hear inside of our head, right? The thing within our minds, our ego, that make up things that aren't really real, but sometimes we think they're real because we're not conscious enough to realize that what they're saying is just a sum of our past experiences rather than what's really going on out there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, I think, one of the tools of the animal soul, that it comes to confuse you, comes to fill your mind with all sorts of voices, like you said, so that you deviate from your divine calling. That's right. I think that's one of the most classic tools of the animal soul.
Rabbi, is that the same as the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination? Is this we talking about the same things, or are they distinct?
That's a great question. So in many ways, it is the same. So the animal soul could be the evil inclination, even though the evil inclination has the name evil within it. And therefore, it refers really to a more specific direction. It refers to that which is indeed evil, that which stands as the opposite of good. So any transgression of the Torah is evil. That's what the Yetzer Hara wants you to do. The animal soul includes a broader domain. For example, laziness. Is laziness bad? Is it transgressing the Torah? Is boredom bad? Is it transgressing the Torah? Is sadness bad? Is it transgressing the Torah? Maybe it's a gray area, but that's what animals do, right? Animals become lazy. Animals become sad. Animals become gluttonous. Animals, are those bad things? Not necessarily. So the Yetzer Hara is not necessarily walking in that domain, in that gray area. The animal soul is. Now, it's important to know that not everything in an animal is bad, right? We're not calling it bad. That's the Yetzer Hara, which again refers to the domain that is very specific. That is bad because it's opposite to what God commands us. But the animal soul refers to something much deeper, to emotions that we sometimes have that may not be categorized as evil, but eventually can lead us to bad. And certainly divorce us from the drive, the dedication we should have towards our divine calling. In general, the animal soul encompasses all of the four foundations. The beginning of the Tanya, when it speaks about that animal soul, speaks about how it is nurtured from the four foundations of the world, but from the negative side of those four foundations, because there's a positive side to them. But the world has four foundations: the foundation of water, fire, dust, and air, or soil, earth, and air. By the way, the four holy cities of Israel are founded on those four foundations. And Kabbalists say that the four foundations of the world really stem from those four cities. Jerusalem is the city of fire, because the temple was built with fire. Tiberias is the city of water, relating to that foundation, because it has the Kinneret, Sea of the Galilee. Tzfat is the foundation of air, because the air in Tzfat is holy. That's that foundation. And Hebron, where matriarchs and patriarchs are buried, is the foundation of earth. And that's where that foundation comes from. But many ways, those four foundations can create positivities or negativities, like anything. Anything has those two sides. Now, the animal soul encompasses the negativities of those four foundations. And as the Tanya says at the very beginning, foundation of water is all the negative pleasures from this world come from that foundation. When you're in a shower, for example, you're in a state of pleasure. Water is very often connected to pleasure, so that's that foundation. Fire is any emotion that you have that flares up, like anger. That is a foundation that animal soul also encompasses, or the negative side of that foundation. Earth is depression, sadness, it pulls you down. That's the negative side of that foundation. Again, the animal soul encompasses that. And then air is arrogance, haughtiness. The animal soul also encompasses that. Now, are those specific transgressions in the Torah? Maybe some of them are, some are not. But the animal soul encompasses those as opposed to Yetzer Hara, which is much more, again, specific.
Rabbi, I have
Yes.
a question. So, in the day and age of technology, a sedentary lifestyle, where there's an overabundance of food, how do we maintain a connection to the body that is healthy, that is protective, I think a lot of people are struggling with weight, and it's very serious. So, how do we have that connection to the animal body in a divine way? How do we promote that?
I think that's a great question, especially in the day and age we live in. Look, I think that the answer really can be applied not just to food and to the body, but to any struggle of the animal soul. And that is that every act that we engage ourselves in, as the Tanya says, has to be premeditated. Premeditated in a way that we ask ourselves, is this act going to be for God, going to really elevate me in a godly way, going to enhance my divine purpose in this world, or not? And if not, I got to stay away from it. In the words of Nachmanides, Kabbalist of 1200s, who was really one of the most important figures in Jewish history, was also one of the foremost Kabbalists. He would say, Kadesh et atzmecha b'mutar lach. Sanctify yourself in that which is permitted to you. Now, that which is prohibited is prohibited. We don't need any additional commandments there. But he would say, sanctify yourself even in the domain of the permissible. What this means is that, yes, I can eat now as much as I want. I can have this delicious steak with the French fries and whatever it is. But I'm going to sanctify myself. It's permitted, but I'm going to sanctify. How do I sanctify myself with that? Do I really need it? Is this going to help me? Is this going to really help me on a physical level, first of all, so that I'm more physically able to serve God? Is it going to help me on an emotional? It's going to help me on a spiritual level. Am I really going to be to be able to elevate the cow and every ounce that I'm eating from it in order to serve God? Or is it going to really lead me to maybe, after food you get tired, to sleeping while I'm really supposed to be working for God or serving God in my own way? So I think that by premeditating the permissible and asking ourselves, really, is this going to be channeled into my divine service fully? Then we've done most of the work. And that we have to apply it, which can be a little bit more difficult because we might have all the right intentions, but when push comes to shove, we change all of a sudden.
That's where willpower comes in, right?
That's where willpower comes in.
Or Ozempic?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The good questions. Yeah. The Tanya even gives us a method, a different part of the Tanya, that if you're not sure, sometimes you're not sure. So you should wait an hour with anything, not just with food. If I'm not sure, okay, I'm going to have this meal, but I'm not sure. Am I really going to be able to use it? Is my animal soul here going wild, or or am I really going to be used it for the divine soul? Is it my divine soul? Is it telling me that I will be able to sanctify that which is permissible? If I'm not sure, then I should wait. And that wait does wonders. Same with emails, by the way. It's not just food, right? Same with anything we write. People have an easy fingers on their keyboards today, or easy impulsions in their mouths. Is this really going to be something worth saying, worth writing? If I'm not sure, wait, don't say it.
Then also when people write emails, sometimes the intention the person writes the email with is not the end result, because there's
Right.
missing, you don't hear voice inflection, you don't hear.
Right. So that's one of the things, right? It's one of the things that need to be taken into consideration when the divine soul meditates. It's one of the things, not just the content of the email, but most importantly, like you just said, right, how it's going to be received. It's not just about getting things off your chest.
Yeah, it's also important when we want to say something. I'm like, bite your tongue. Wait, don't say it.
Think about it first.
Think about it first, because sometimes we're impulsive and we react, and so
Because at the end of the day, what Nachmanides is saying, to sanctify yourself in the permissible, and what he's saying really is that, is this deed going to eventually emanate holiness? Is your email going to emanate holiness? Is your meal going to emanate holiness? Is your interaction, human interaction, going to emanate holiness? Because maybe if not, then you should stay away from it. And if you don't know, wait an hour, wait half an hour. You might have then some clarity, because animal soul works in the domain of impulsivity. And when you wait, it just kills it. Can't wait. Animals don't know how to wait. When they want to attack, they attack. And all of a sudden, imagine you tell an animal wait, it goes crazy. But that's exactly the point. It goes crazy, and then it just retreats. That's why the waiting is so powerful here. I'll share with you, just in conclusion, the story of Professor Green. It's one of my favorite stories, but I heard it from the son of Professor Green, so almost from the first source. Shmuley Green is a good friend. But he was a big scientist working for NASA. In fact, he's really one of the more revolutionary scientists of our generation. And you can look him up, Professor Velver Green. And when he was slowly but surely becoming observant, he penned a letter to the Lubavitcher Rebbe saying that in his eyes, Judaism has many contradictions with science. And he asked the Rebbe in that letter 28 questions. And to his astonishment, unlike his previous correspondences with the Rebbe didn't respond to him. Only after 3 years did the Rebbe respond. In some random letter on another subject, the Rebbe responded to him, and in P.S., 3 years ago, you asked me these questions, here are the answers. And at the very end of the answers, the Rebbe said to him, you may be wondering why I've waited 3 years to answer your questions. And the Rebbe said, that is because my goal in life is not to win arguments. My goal in life is to bring people closer to their soul, to their Jewishness. Now, in these 3 years that I've seen that you've made leaps and bounds, becoming stronger and more strongly connected to your neshama, now I can answer these questions. And in many ways, that's just the epitome of having your divine soul guide you. Very often you want to win arguments. Your ego is hurt. And the divine soul comes and tells you, wait. And what is the big picture here? Really, what's the big picture? And is the person I'm responding to going to be further distant from my answer, or is going to become closer with my answers? And that waiting can do really wonders. So the Rebbe epitomized that in his answer and in his life altogether, but so must we.